Good afternoon, everybody. I am Lesley Myrick, Nancy's associate coach, and this is Message Mastery with the fabulous Masha Koyen of ContentVertical.com. Welcome, Masha.
Thanks so much, Lesley. Nice to be here.
I am excited. I'm excited about every topic we talk about on these lives, but today we are going to be talking about essential elements for your services page. And if you're like me and you're a designer, you've gone, okay, it's a services page. You put your services on it. But I have a strong suspicion that Masha's about to school us on best practices and copy tips and tricks. So, Masha, tell us about the services page.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Every time I'm visiting a services page on an interior design website, it's always kind of generic. It's
Yeah.
like, these are the three services, or God forbid, there's like seven services that, these are the services that I offer: consultation, full service, I don't know, virtual design, all those things. And these are the three steps to work with me. And that's
Mm.
about it. But there's so much potential
Yeah.
on your services page. There's so much more that you could do, because here's the thing: your services page has a few roles. The very first one is to provide an outline basically of what's it like to work with you, like what are the services that you offer to your potential clients. It needs to educate your prospective clients in terms of what's it like to work with you, what's involved, what's the scope of if you offer a full service interior design, then what is the scope of that project? If you offer virtual design, what's the scope of that? Like, what's involved? How involved do I have to be as a
Mhm.
client? So all of those things. And it needs to highlight your unique value proposition. It needs to highlight what do you bring to the table? What's your differentiator, your secret sauce? And the one of the most important things, that it needs to drive some type of action, because a lot of people are just forgetting that, yes, here's how to work with me, but what's next? And your clients are thinking, what's next? How do I actually get to it? What's the next step that I need to take?
That's a
So
great tip because I think it's easy to make these pages and put in all our copy. Here's full service design, and
yeah,
then the clients reach the footer, and it's like, what's now?
what do
And
you
that's
want
a
me to do
great
next?
thing to keep asking yourself every time you're working on any page on your website. What's next? Where do you
Exactly.
want the client to go next? What's the point of them reading and getting this far?
Exactly. Yeah. So we established what do you need to have, and what does your service page need to do. Now let's talk about what are the main components of your services page. And if we're starting at the very top of your page, we need a title, and not just a title, but I would say a headline and a subhead. So yes, you
Okay.
can simply say services, pretty descriptive, but you want to include a sub headline that actually explains, either the value that you provide or how easy it is to work with you. Something like a bit of an oomph to your headline, because if it's just a service page, there's no emotional connection happening, nothing is happening. So you want to go above and beyond and do a sub headline that kind of either paints a transformation or explains in a few words. It doesn't have to be a lot. It's literally just a line of copy, but that creates a bit of almost anticipation of what are people going to find on your page that's going to make them want to scroll down. So that's number one. We are starting with a headline. Number two, clear service offers. Again, pretty self-descriptive. We want to incorporate all the service offers that you offer. If you have, ideally, it's not more than three, and I know that's what you guys teach as well.
We do. And I will say, even if you have other service offerings in your back pocket, three tends to be a good rule of thumb to include on the service page in what Nancy calls a ladder of services. So maybe
That's
it's
right.
a consultation is your entry level. Maybe it's a designer for a day, and then you have full service, something like that. But I think that's good that you're confirming that, because a lot of us do have other services, or we really can do a lot or do more than we're promoting. But and I will tell you, Masha, back in the day, I had 7
Mhm.
because I was trying to get everybody from like the DIY budget Betty all the way to the luxury full service. And
Yeah.
spoiler alert, it doesn't work. That's a really
Yeah.
crappy services page because no one knows who it's for. So I do agree that keeping it to up to 3 main services you offer, and it should be the ones that you love to do and you want to do. Don't
Yeah,
put the stuff on there you're not interested in. But that is a great rule of thumb for a services page, is no more than 3 services.
for
Otherwise people get
sure.
confused. They don't know how to self select through your 7 options that you posted there.
Exactly. What you promote is what you attract. So, like you
Mhm.
said, you can still offer other services, but you don't want to promote everything because ideally, you want to speak to that one ideal client. So, lead with the one service or the 2 or the 3 services that you actually want to work on, the types of projects that you want to promote. And you want to make sure that the copy under that service offering is actually very clear. It speaks to your audience, it speaks to your ideal client. And the one tip that I would provide is you want to make sure that copy under that each service offer is audience centric. So it's not we do this and we do that, but it actually speaks to your audience using language like you and yours. So speaking directly. So
Mm.
when the audience is reading that copy, they're like, oh, okay, this is for me. We definitely want to help them. You're right. You mentioned this one thing that they're not going to be able to self identify what service, unless it's very straightforward, but they're not going to be able to say, I'm not sure if this is the right approach, if I want a full service, or maybe I want partial if that's what you offer. So you want to help them. You want to help your audience understand this is for me. She's the person that's going to help me, and here how she's going to do it. So make
Bingo.
sure it's very descriptive and the copy that in your service offers is audience centric rather than all about you. Next is the process overview, very important. So you want to make sure to clearly explain these are the steps involved in each of the process. Most of the time, it is just one process for all the services. First there's a consultation, then there is, a visual, a concept creation, then there is design presentation, then there is procurement and all of those things. But make sure, again, you're speaking to your audience and you're not just explaining the scope of each step, but it's benefits over features. So what is the value of each step involved? So when we're talking about consultation, what's going to be involved? What can I expect from each of the steps in the process?
Can you clarify a little bit more benefits versus features? Because we hear those terms and I think we often think they're interchangeable. What would be an example of a feature, which is not the way to approach it, versus a benefit, which sounds like it is the right approach to include on your services page?
Yeah. So for example, feature would be something like, okay, if we're talking about like a Apple device, like a phone, feature would be, I don't know, like clear resolution, music on your, like all the apps. But benefits would be, music on the go. Have your music on the go, have everything at your fingertips. So rather than just explaining what's involved in your process, how are you going to make my life easier?
So for a designer, a feature could kind of be the deliverables. Like you will get a floor plan and a rendering
Yes.
and the samples.
Hmm.
Fine, great. But the benefit is your home will be completely transformed and you will love it.
Exactly, exactly. So I love that you said that. So definitely go with that. Make sure it's descriptive enough so people
Mhm.
actually they can see themselves. They know what to anticipate in your process, and you know exactly how their life will be easier in the process of working with you. So
Yeah.
that's number 3. The next thing is social proof. And that's client testimonials. That's incredibly important. I know a lot of designers include them on the homepage or maybe on the about page. I honestly always suggest to include customer testimonials on all of the core pages, because at the end of the day, when people are reviewing your website copy, you want to make sure that the key message comes from your customers and not from you. It almost needs to amplify your own words, and because that's
It's
what gives you
social proof.
credibility. Yeah,
It's other people talking about you. And
exactly.
I think I love that you pointed that out because often we can be shy about wanting to sort of toot our own horns and put things, oh, they can just Google me and they'll see that in my Google reviews. Like, no, you need to pull that information and package it and put it on your website, put it on your services page. Keep reminding people that it's not just you saying you do these amazing transformations,
Yeah.
but other people, past clients, if you've ever had a media mention, those
Oh,
sources are
yeah.
all saying, hey, this designer's legit.
Yeah, credible. So you're right. Featured in section. If there are podcasts that you spoke on, customer testimonials, all of those
Mhm.
things signal trust. And that's what we want at the end of the day from social proof. So definitely the one tip that I would give for featuring customer testimonials, don't just pick customer testimonials that are like, oh, she was great to work with. For this particular services page, pick the ones that actually speak to the service, to the actual offer, to how you work, to how was it so easy to work with you? How did she make my life easy? Was that like a easy process or she made it fun? So make sure you pick the ones that are more appropriate for your services page. And to do that, we want to guide your customers how to leave testimonials, and that's a whole other live for that. But we want to help our clients leave the right testimonial and then feature the one that's going to speak volume on your services page.
That's great.
So yeah, so that's social proof. Two more things. Call to action, we already spoke to. Call to action is extremely important. Make sure it's not just the button that's going to be, contact me or schedule a consultation, but you want to remind people what is that unique value proposition that you offer, or what is the transformation that you help your clients achieve, or how incredibly easy and fun it is to work with you. So make sure your your call to action includes the headline, subhead, and that button. And that's typically what we'd find at the end of the page. But the one thing that sometimes people forget is you can include an FAQ section on your services page. That's great for SEO, but it also helps to overcome people's objections, because when your audience lands on your services page, they have questions that they want answered. And we want
I
to make sure
love
that
that.
yeah. And it's so amazing for SEO, and it's such an easy thing to do. Just think back to all the questions that you've had from your clients, either from discovery calls or throughout the project. Keep a bank of those questions and include them on your services page. And chance if you've ever had a question from one of your clients, chances are a lot more people have those same questions. How long is the project? What if I don't like the design concept? What happens next? These are real things. I interview clients for a living. I interview clients when I write their website copy, and I interview
Mhm.
my clients, homeowners, and these are the questions that I say. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like the first concept, but what happens next? How can you help overcome those objections that your
Yeah.
clients have in their minds? So
And I want to let people know too, and correct me if I'm wrong. I would assume that even if these aren't actually frequently asked questions,
right.
you can create these and guide potential clients, website viewers to possible pain points or, possible points of resistance. You used a term earlier that I've forgotten. I apologize.
Overcome objections.
Yes, thank you.
Hmm.
You can craft this to be strategic, to guide people to the answers you want. You don't, just because someone hasn't actually asked you that does not mean you cannot put it in your FAQs.
You're absolutely right, because we actually, not only your services page needs to answer the questions, it needs to proactively anticipate the questions that they may have. And you are being strategic about it, because not only that you're answering those questions, that maybe it's not a frequently asked question, but you're showing transparency. You're showing, hey, all the cards on the table. I can talk to my process. I can, these are the questions that you may be thinking. Because the thing about copywriting and putting the right message on a page, you have to meet your clients where they're at in their head. I know it's a weird concept, but they're thinking things. They have questions
Yes.
as they're reading your material, and you want to make sure you're overcoming with each word, with each intentional sentence, with each message on your services page and all the other core pages of your
Yeah.
website.
And I mean, we as designers, we know our services inside out, upside down, but it's how we communicate it that matters. And those questions matter. The copy on
Yeah.
your website matters when you're talking
Hmm.
about your services. Not everyone knows what full service design means. Or,
Exactly.
sometimes we use industry jargon, not intentionally, but it can be something that brings confusion. And I love the
Hmm.
idea where you can still be shown as an expert with, hey, here's how we work. Here's our 3 service options. Oh, and here's some questions you might have about them. You ready to move forward? Click this button.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, so we covered all the main elements. So I really hope when, to whoever is listening, if you go to your services page and you're missing a couple of components, look at it from the perspective of your ideal customers. Keep thinking about who is that one person that I want my message to speak to, and look at from their lens, from their perspective.
I like that. Masha, can
Yeah.
you recap the 5 tips that you gave just in a list?
Of course. So we're starting with a headline and subhead at the top of the page. We're
Mhm.
going with the service overviews, clear service overviews. Then we've got process overview, social proof, and call to action.
I love it. So it's getting me thinking. I'm like, I might go poke onto my services page after we wrap up here and see. I love the FAQs thing. That is a great nugget that I don't think I've ever heard it to be like put on the services page. And I love that versus a separate tab in your top navigation.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know a lot of people include it under the About Us or some resources.
Mhm.
Why not right there? Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you, Masha. Great
Of
tips as
course.
always. Where can designers and viewers find you and learn more about what you do as a copywriter?
Of course. So you can find me on my website, contentvertical.com. You can also find me on my Instagram, masha.copywriter. And I'm also promoting my newsletter. I send every single Friday, I send Friday emails with actionable messaging bits and advice every single Friday. And you can sign up on my website on the homepage.
Awesome. I will be signing up. Thank you so
Awesome.
much, Masha. We will see you back here next month.
Thanks so much, Lesley.
Bye.
Bye.